welcome to the Deep Dive.
Great to be back.
So today we're tackling a topic that, well, it might seem kind of obvious at first glance, but when you really dig into it, it reveals just how crucial it is for, well, basically everyone. Selling.
Right. And we're using Grant Cardone's sell or be sold.
This isn't just about sales jobs, is it?
Not at all. It's much broader, more fundamental, really.
That's the perfect word. And that's our mission for this deep dive, to pull out those core ideas about selling as a genuine life skill. We want to understand why persuading, influencing, getting people aligned with your ideas, why that matters to you, listening right now, whatever you do.
It's almost like understanding the hidden currents of influence in daily life.
Yeah, recognizing when you're the one doing the influencing and when you're, well, being influenced yourself.
When you're being sold to.
Precisely. Okay, let's kick things off properly with our intro. This isn't just another book podcast. This is the Deep Dive Library, where ideas turn into action. We don't just read books, we break them down to the bone. If you're hungry for insights, obsessed with growth, and ready to apply real lessons from the world's most powerful books, you're in the right place. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, and share, because one idea here could change everything. Hit that bell, and let's dive deep. All right, so let's unpack that central theme from the source. This idea that selling isn't just an activity some people do for work. It's something we're all doing, all the time.
That really is the core argument, and it's deeper than it sounds initially. Take getting a loan, for instance.
Okay.
You're not just handing over paperwork, are you? You're actively persuading the bank, the loan officer, that you're a good bet, that your plan works. You're essentially selling them on you.
Right. And that extends down to like our most basic relationships, guiding your kids.
You're selling them on why they should do something or believe something.
Even just convincing friends on, I don't know, where to grab lunch. There's persuasion there.
Yeah, the source even uses that golf analogy, trying to sell the ball and going in the hole. It really highlights this constant, sometimes subconscious push to influence outcomes.
And the flip side is crucial, isn't it?
Absolutely. If you're not the one doing the selling, the persuading, then you're automatically the one being sold to. You're on the receiving end of someone else's influence.
That's a really powerful way to look at it. It just reframes everything. And the consequences, as the source points out, they touch almost every part of life.
They really do. Think about just your self-esteem, being effective at getting your ideas across, getting your needs met. That naturally builds confidence.
Sure.
And that ability to influence, it directly impacts your career, obviously, but also business success, family dynamics, your finances, even just reaching your dreams.
And here's a fascinating angle. The idea that really successful people, no matter the field, they've essentially mastered getting others sold on them, on their vision. It's not just the product.
Yeah. It's about selling yourself, your ideas. And the source ties this directly to belief. It argues that you can't achieve anything really significant without being able to, communicate effectively, convince people, persuade them to get on board.
So the ability to get others to believe in you, that's presented as the real secret sauce.
That seems to be the core argument, the true driver of success.
Which really challenges that stereotypical image of a salesperson, doesn't it? That pushy caricature.
Exactly. And that leads right into the next point, dispelling those myths, redefining what selling actually is.
Because most people think fast-talking swindler or high-pressure stuff.
Right. The source deliberately tries to dismantle that. It calls those approaches amateurish, ineffective. Things like confrontation, pressure. That's not professional selling.
So what's the alternative definition?
True selling, according to this view, is really about getting others to genuinely agree with you, to support you willingly.
Yeah.
It's a skill. It's about persuasion, not force. The source even mentions how, false information or negative perceptions, the example used was about apartment ownership can hold people back because they haven't been sold on the real opportunity.
Yeah. So it's about shifting our whole perception and recognizing how universal this skill is. Which brings us to the urgency aspect.
Yeah, the source really hammers this home. Selling isn't just for making a living, it's critical for survival, for thriving, not just getting by. It's about actively shaping your life.
Not just reacting to it.
Precisely. And it emphasizes that pretty much everyone, a wife, an employee, a parent, you name it, is constantly in situations that demand some level of persuasion.
And the argument is that your skill in this area, this broad selling ability, probably impacts your success more than any other single thing.
Across all roles, yeah. That's the claim. Think about wanting a raise. You're selling your value. An actor needs an audition part. They're selling your talent. Getting a date.
Selling yourself again.
Exactly. It even uses the example of driving in traffic. You're kind of selling other drivers on letting you merge.
Okay, that's relatable. It really does show it's not just a job title.
Definitely not. Which logically leads to this idea that selling is a prerequisite for success way beyond just a sales career.
Right. The source points out professionals we don't typically think of as salespeople. Doctors, lawyers.
Doctors need patients to buy into their treatment plans, right? Lawyers need to sell their case to a judge or jury. Engineers need to sell their designs.
It's everywhere. And this ties into a critique in the material about education.
Yeah, the lack of formal sales education in schools. The source suggests this contributes to those negative views we talked about, and it means people are missing out on a really fundamental life skill.
It contrasts book marks, formal education, with the practical skill of persuasion, saying that knowing stuff isn't enough. You need to be able to apply it to convince others.
Ultimately, it kind of boils down to being able to get your way in life, not in a manipulative sense, but because you can effectively communicate and persuade people towards your goals, because you want to achieve something.
Okay, now shifting gears slightly, there's a really strong theme about commitment.
Oh yeah, this is huge in the source material. The argument is that the absolute first step to getting good at anything, especially selling, is total 100% commitment.
Not just casual interest.
No, it uses strong language, like being a fanatic about your goals, full devotion. Anything less just leads to average results.
The author even shares a personal story about that, right? Lacking commitment early on.
Yes, and experiencing just okay results. It describes that kind of frustrating cycle. Well, if you're not fully committed, you probably won't get great results, which then makes you less committed, and down you go.
The downward spiral.
Exactly. But then there's this turning point, described a conscious decision. Okay, I'm going all in. I'm going to learn everything about selling.
And the effect was noticeable.
Immediately, according to the story, there's that anecdote about selling fish.
Right.
Faced with a challenge, needing results fast, that total commitment apparently led to unexpected success very quickly.
It's a great illustration of focus, isn't it? That commitment isn't just a fuzzy feeling. It's framed as the key ingredient. The magic, even.
And interestingly, it connects commitment not just to achieving goals, but also to being able to predict outcomes better.
How does that work? Prediction through commitment?
Well, the idea is that great salespeople develop this ability to predict, but it's not psychic power. It comes from that deep commitment and study.
So it's learned.
Yes. Through intense observation, taking notes, recording interactions, really analyzing what works and what doesn't, you start to see patterns.
And that knowledge, that pattern recognition, helps you handle situations better.
Exactly. You know what's likely coming, so you can respond more effectively, which boosts your confidence.
Which leads to better results, which makes you enjoy it more.
Precisely. The source claims that the only real reason someone doesn't like selling is because they don't fully understand it. They lack that knowledge and therefore control.
Mastery breeds enjoyment. Makes sense. Okay, so commitment is key. Prediction follows. Now, the source talks about the most important sale.
Ah, yes. Selling yourself.
This is presented as absolutely vital.
Non-negotiable, almost. The core principle is, you can only sell something to the degree that you yourself are sold on it.
So if your results are up and down, inconsistent.
The diagnosis, according to the source, is a lack of complete conviction. In your product, your company, your idea, whatever it is, you have to believe it's superior, be 100% certain.
A fraud, as it's called, can't get consistent results because they don't truly believe.
That's the idea. You need to be, maybe even unreasonable or fanatical in your belief.
The example of selling more expensive real estate comes up here, right?
Yeah.
Driven by the agent's own conviction.
Yes. That conviction is described as this firmly held belief that basically makes other options seem less viable to the prospect. A sale happens when your certainty outweighs their uncertainty.
So if sales are low, the first place to look isn't the market, it's inward.
It's your own level of conviction. That's the argument. You need to constantly resell yourself.
Maybe you do.
By revisiting why it's valuable, reinforcing the benefits, tackling any negative thoughts or doubts you might have about it.
And asking those tough questions.
Right. Can you instantly answer with certainty, why this, why me, why now? If you hesitate, that's a problem.
He also warns about the 90-day wonder phenomenon.
Yeah, people who start strong, but then their belief fades and they start subtly undermining their own sales. It shows conviction needs maintenance.
Management's role is important here too then, reselling the team.
Absolutely, keeping that conviction alive. And the point about competition is interesting too.
That it's always there, but it's not the real issue.
The real issue is your level of being sold. If you're truly convinced, competition becomes less relevant and a sign you're truly sold.
Feeling bad when someone doesn't buy.
Exactly, because you genuinely believe they missed out on something great. Okay, so that's conviction. Now let's talk about the big objection, price.
Ah, yes, the price myth. Everyone thinks that's why they lose sales.
But the source challenges that directly. Says price is rarely the number one reason.
So what is?
Usually it's unspoken objections, or more fundamentally, the buyer just isn't confident enough in the value they're getting for that price.
The price experiment anecdote illustrates this, doesn't it? Where lowering the price didn't automatically boost sales.
Right. It suggests that desire, really wanting it, and trust are much bigger drivers than just the cost. People will pay almost anything for something they truly love or desperately need.
Like the example of needing something critical in an emergency. Price becomes secondary.
Totally. So the salesperson's job is to build that desire, make the buyer want the product or solution more than they want to keep their money, build the value.
And that counterintuitive tactic of showing more expensive options.
Yeah, moving them up in price sometimes. It can help uncover the real objection, which often isn't just the dollars, but maybe fear of making a mistake or uncertainty about the fit.
And it lets you emphasize the added value at higher price points.
Right. Always show how spending more could actually be the better solution to get what they really want. Like that fundraising story.
Where asking for a bigger donation actually brought in more money overall.
Exactly. It challenges assumptions, and the conclusion is pretty stark. Often, the salesperson is the biggest barrier, not the customer's wallet.
So focus on love for the product, belief, serving the customer, and be willing to hard sell when needed, meaning stand firm on value.
That seems to be the message, which connects to understanding the buyer's relationship with their money.
The source repeats that idea. There's no shortage of money out there.
Right. And successful salespeople often tend to be generous because they see money as a tool, something to be used and circulated, not just held on to.
But it acknowledges that people do get weird, let's say, when it's time to actually pay.
Yeah, they act funny, as the source puts it. That's where the skill comes in, navigating those stalls and objections smoothly, without pressure, but with persistence.
And the idea of second money.
Just that once someone has made an initial purchase and feels good about it, getting additional investment or a follow-up sale can be easier because some of that initial fear or hesitation is gone. Trust is built.
Okay, so understanding money is part of it. But shifting focus again, there's a huge emphasis on people.
Absolutely critical. You're in the people business, first and foremost.
Not the product business.
The product matters, but understanding people matters more. You can know everything about your product, but if you don't have people skills, you won't get far.
Like the gas station owner focusing on service, not just pumping gas.
Perfect analogy. People need to feel you care before they care about what you know. And the proof, the source says, is in the commission checks.
So it's about helping people make the right decision for them.
Yes. Take a genuine interest in their situation, their concerns, what their ideal outcome looks like.
They make the customer more important than, well, everything else.
Yep.
Your product, your process, your commission.
That's the ideal, yeah. The real estate agent story is a great example here.
The one with the couple where the husband wouldn't engage.
Exactly. The agent recognized the unspoken dynamic, addressed the husband directly, understood his needs too, not just the wife's. That unlocked the situation. It's about engaging everyone involved.
And communication is key here, but defined
as a real exchange, two-way, not just talking at someone, listening to understand their world, what's driving them.
which sets up the final principle, which sounds simple, but is apparently often missed.
The magic of agreement. This is presented as maybe the single most important rule and the one most often broken.
Always agree with the customer. That sounds counterintuitive if they're objecting.
Well, it doesn't mean you agree that your product is bad if they say it is. It means finding something to agree with in their statement or feeling. Acknowledge their point of view first. Being agreeable makes them more agreeable.
Okay, so agree first, then guide or offer solutions.
Exactly. Find common ground. The source even suggests practicing it like an agree drill. It's considered senior even to closing the sale.
Because disagreement just builds walls.
Right. It's like swimming against the current, as the analogy goes. Why make it harder? Agreeing acknowledges their reality, respects their position.
Even if you don't share their exact view.
You just need to validate their feeling or perspective. I understand why you feel that way, or that's a valid point, or I appreciate you bringing that up. It creates an opening for them to see your side.
The example of the time constraint.
Yeah. Instead of arguing, agree. I understand you're short on time, and I appreciate you making a few minutes for this. It softens them up. It shows professionalism.
Nothing softens a buyer faster than genuine agreement. That's a strong statement.
It is. It emphasizes rapport building as the foundation.
Okay, so wrapping this deep dive up. Sell or be sold? What's the big takeaway?
I think the main thing is realizing that selling, defined broadly as influence and persuasion, isn't just a job. It's a fundamental life skill. It touches everything. And getting good at it takes real commitment, solid self-belief, focusing genuinely on other people, and mastering that art of agreement.
It definitely makes you look at your own interactions differently. All those little negotiations or moments of persuasion throughout the day.
Totally. So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. Think about one area in your life right now where you'd like to, get your way more often, achieve a better outcome.
Yeah.
How could applying some of these ideas, more commitment, stronger belief in your goal, really understanding the other person's view, finding agreement, how could that help you? And maybe even more practically, what's one small thing you can do today to be just a little bit more sold on yourself and your own goals?
That's a great question to ponder. Really powerful stuff. Thanks for breaking this down with me.
My pleasure. Always interesting.
And for everyone listening, thanks for diving deep with us. Be sure to join us next time for more insights.